Hello everybody, and welcome to a quick look at the Blackwood map that was recently released as a free-to-download DLC for Atlas. I went ahead and hosted the new map on an unofficial server, and my crew and I have been playing it since the day it released, so I think we have some pretty good input and views on how the map is doing so far, what it needs, and what you should look out for. First of all, there was a little bit of confusion about whether or not this is an official map because it was listed as a free DLC on the official store page, but after doing a little bit of looking into it, clearly the map is made by ISO, who is the level designer behind Ark's Crystal Isles map. So she went ahead and designed Blackwood as an example of what can be done with the dev kit. That's kind of how I understand it. And then Atlas went ahead and put Blackwood up as an example free DLC on their store page. So this is going to be just a little bit of a story before I get into the pros, cons, ins and outs of this map, because there is a little bit of background needed to kind of justify why I switched straight over to a Blackwood map for the Atlas server that I host instead of just sticking with a map that we already know works and functions properly. I have somewhere between 10 and 20 people that wanted to join up on my Atlas server, and at the time we were hosting a 2x2 with 10 slots available for players in each grid, so that's 4 grids with 10 player slots. Well, unfortunately we had more than 10 people that wanted to play with us, and it would have made doing boss fights with a large group of people impossible. We only would have been able to fit 10 people on the map where the boss spawned. So we knew that Blackwood was coming, and we decided that it might be a good idea to switch over to Blackwood. That way we could have our 20 player slotted server without having to pay for 20 slots for each server grid that we had currently been paying for. The map was said to contain all of the content that you're supposed to find in the base game of Atlas, as well as a nice art twist that was put on the map, which I love, by the way. But on the Play Atlas Blackwood page, when the map released, it was said that there will be new cities and outlying areas ideal for role-playing and server events, which of course made me think that this would be an ideal map for multiplayer. I mean, you can't roleplay well, you can roleplay by yourself, but for the most part you're going to be role-playing with other people, and server events, meaning that more than one person is going to be joining the event. So this is what led me to believe that this could be a good map for a private server hoster like myself to host, because it would allow me to have the expanded slots, and it would also let my crew all get to play together on the same map. Now that I've explained why we jumped straight into Blackwood from our old 2x2 grid, we can get into looking at the map and talking about what it has to offer. Also, it goes without saying that there are going to be spoilers ahead. I'm going to be showing some of the bosses we ran into, as well as what the biomes look like, etc. So if you want to explore it yourself and you don't want to have a sneak peek, then I suggest you go ahead and click off now. The first thing I want to say as a pro about this map is that it is beautifully made. The world, I mean, the art of the map is great. I've been through all of the NPC areas and most of the extra areas, you'll see what I mean as the footage continues to play, and it's very well put together. Everything looks beautiful, and I think ISO did a really, really great job with placement and island location. Considering that it's just one grid space, there actually is quite a bit of open ocean to explore, as well as some pretty big islands. As you can see from the recording here, I'm walking through an Eastern themed village, NPC Freeport, and I think this is probably my favorite location on the whole map, which is why we all chose it as a crew to settle down and build our base. There are waterfalls, old ruins, even koi ponds with bridges going over them that actually have koi fish in them. I'll get to fish in a minute because I know that's kind of an issue on the map right now. But definitely a 10 out of 10 for this island. And for those of you interested, this island is in the very northeastern corner of the map. It's kind of small, but I think the idea is that it's supposed to be eastern temperate. It has bamboo and all the trees that you would normally see on an eastern temperate island. The interesting thing about the NPC or Freeport areas is that they do have vegetable patches as well as some little fruit areas or areas of fiber that you can harvest, which I thought was a really good idea because for some reason the fiber looks like fruit when you go out in the wild to collect it. So you'll be chopping down what looks like an acerola plant and you'll be getting thatch from it, or fiber from it, which was kind of confusing at first, but once you get that through your head, it kind of starts to click. but knowing where these different areas are in the free port to just go and quickly harvest cotton bushes that are in a garden, it really helps a lot, especially when you're trying to make your first sloop out of the harbor. I don't know if the switch in fiber and fruit plants was intentional to kind of make things different, or if it's just a little bit of an error in the data. Not sure. I'm sure that will all be rectified soon though, hopefully, fingers crossed, amongst a few other things. So now I want to talk about a few cons with the map. Obviously it is newly released and there are bugs and glitches. One of the biggest ones being that when you first spawn in the southern regions, there are no fish in the ocean. So you'll probably find yourself running around kind of wondering where the heck are all the fish? Well, if you go inland a little bit to some of the freshwater lakes or ponds or man-made structures, you might find some catfish. I think that's the only fish I could find in the freshwater is catfish. So if you need that oil to make lanterns or buckets with, that's where you're going to have to find it for now. I know that there are some areas up in the north that do have fish in the ocean, but it's kind of rare. The second issue that is kind of game breaking I wanted to talk about is that right now beds are disappearing on the map. You cannot fast travel to them after you've died. You can't place them on boats because not only are the beds disappearing, but the boats aren't showing up on the map. Some people can place a bed, maybe two, but then after a few days of playing, that bed just disappears. It doesn't even show up in the company logs or anything. Once again, I think this is just a bug that's obviously going to be fixed. I have a statement from a developer about that, which I will put at the end of the video. It kind of goes without saying that we would like to be able to take on bosses like this Hydra that we happen to find on our island, but it would be kind of hard to do so with big numbers if we all can't make beds to respawn over and over again as we undoubtedly die. So the last thing I wanted to let you know, if you're trying to decide to switch over to Blackwood or not, is that not all of the islands can be built on at this moment. I'm expecting this to be patched, hopefully soon, fingers crossed again, but I've been able to build on 5 of the islands I've visited, and the others I have not been able to build on. I'm sure I missed an island or two along the way, but it seems like they have snap point issues. So when you do decide on a home island, make sure you can put down a foundation there first. Other than those issues, as you can see, there are the maps. The treasure maps are doable. I've been able to tame and breed animals at this point, and I've honestly been enjoying the map a lot. I just wish we didn't have to deal with the bed issue, the fish issue, and not being able to build on all of the islands. I do have a statement here from a developer, which I will throw up here over the footage, where I asked in the Atlas Discord if we are going to be expecting bug fixes, since I really hadn't been around for any kind of release from either Arc or Atlas as far as maps go. I didn't really know how things worked. So I asked if we should expect fixes in bugs and glitches, and the response I got is that this is regarded as a free DLC, and as such we will certainly roll out bug fixes, etc. for it, whilst generally focusing on official multiplayer moving forward. So it was good to hear that even though this is not an official map, that the bug fixes and patching will still happen, because honestly I don't want to have to start over again, and I really like the map and want to keep playing it. So my crew and I were really happy to hear that this will continue to be updated and fixed as it comes along. So I know I've been really forgiving and positive in this video, but I'll be honest, it hasn't really been an easy process, not only getting Blackwood up and running, but continuing to play it right now. I would definitely suggest waiting a few weeks until the first round of fixes comes through for it, because it's been pretty frustrating trying to get through all of the content it says it has while not being able to respawn or find your company's beds on the map or build on certain islands. So it is making getting through the content really difficult. I mean, I know obviously there's going to be issues when a new map is released, but what I don't quite understand is how the map was already held back one time because it wasn't ready. Yet now they're releasing it prematurely with these bugs and glitches that should have been easy to find because they're pretty game breaking. So I don't quite understand why it was released early. I know Grapeshot gets a lot of flack from, you know, all of us when things don't quite go to plan, but in this case I think it might have been better to just test the map before releasing it to the rest of us as a completed free DLC that now is available on their store page. So to summarize this video, would I recommend playing Blackwood? In 2 weeks, yes. Or whenever they put through the bug fixes, yes. Right now, I would give it a pass. I'm going to continue playing it because it's where we've decided to spend our last few days and we just don't want to start over again. We think we can just keep grinding and leveling until we get a fix for beds, and then we can go out and do the rest of the content. I think the map is artistically beautiful and I think it was really well put together, and I also love the idea of having all of the content together on one grid for private server hosters like me who don't want to have to spend $80 for 20 slots on each individual server grid. So that was my quick look at Blackwood, Atlas's new free DLC map that is now available to us. I know that the dev kit was also updated, and I might poke into that a little bit and see what I can come up with as far as like mods or making my own map or something like that as something fun to do. But I hope that this helped you get a little bit more information about Blackwood, as well as seeing some of the footage of what the biomes and islands actually look like, as well as a few creatures scattered throughout, which were pretty fun to deal with, even though we died and then of course couldn't respawn in a bed. But you know what? It's a never-ending loop, okay? So please let me know down in the comments if I missed anything, or maybe just let me know what you think of Blackwood. Have you gotten the chance to play it, or are you gonna hold off? So I really hope this video helps, guys. I will see you all in the next one, and as always, enjoy your games.